Well, let's bring in now Edward Ahmed Mitchell. He's the National Deputy Executive Director of the Council on American Islamic Relations. He's also a civil rights attorney and is speaking to us from Los Angeles in California. Thanks for joining us here on TRT World. Edward, I'd like to just start by asking about your organization's stance when it comes to the worsening humanitarian situation that's taking place in Gaza.
Over the past 3 months, we've watched with horror as thousands of innocent people have been killed and as Gaza has been made uninhabitable by the Israeli government with support from our government here in the United States. We've been calling on the Biden administration to stop this madness, to stop enabling Mr. Netanyahu's campaign of genocide against the Palestinian people. And that's what it is. I mean, anyone watching this can see it's not just South Africa that recognizes the genocide is taking place, it's the Israeli government itself that admits that is what they are doing. They are trying to push the Palestinian people out of Gaza by killing them and making their land uninhabitable. That is a war crime, and it must stop.
What are your thoughts, especially as a civil rights attorney? And you mentioned South Africa and this upcoming case at the ICJ, which is set to start on Thursday. There are several countries who have endorsed South Africa's case, Bolivia, Turkey, Malaysia. But many analysts have said that we're not seeing anyone in the Arab world or the Middle East doing the same. Why do you think that is?
Well, look, every nation around the world, whether you're a Muslim majority nation or not, should be speaking up against the horror that's being perpetrated against the Palestinian people in Gaza. But Muslim majority nations, I dare say, have a special obligation to speak up because most of the people being killed are Muslim, and they should care about Muslims all around the world, as they say they do. And so, whether it's Palestinians, whether it's Uyghurs, we certainly want to see Muslim majority nations speaking up against Islamophobia, anti Palestinian racism, and other hatred that we're seeing leveled against Muslim communities across the world.
There is, of course, a lot of public pressure on governments from Muslim majority countries. Of course, we've seen massive protests taking place across the Arab world and across so many parts of the world, including in the United States. Do you think that public and domestic pressure is going to be enough to influence governments, especially a government like the United States that is such a strong ally to Israel?
Here in the United States, we've seen a growing number of Americans calling for a ceasefire, and we've seen a growing number of members of Congress calling for a ceasefire. President Biden is sadly out of step with the American people. Most Americans support a ceasefire and the pursuit of a just, lasting peace for everyone Israelis, Palestinians, Muslims, Jews, Christians, all alike. It's President Biden that insists on walking in lockstep with Mr. Netanyahu, even though this man is leading our nation and the region into a war. And so, yeah, the American people have already spoken up very clearly. It's just time for President Biden to listen to us, to the American people who are tired of seeing children being pulled out of rubble from buildings that were destroyed with missiles provided by our government and our taxpayer dollars.
And do you think those voices are going to be heard at the election box when those elections take place in November? Many Muslims in America are saying that they will not vote for Biden.
Look, as a civil rights organization, we don't tell people who to vote for, who to vote against. We just tell them to vote. I think that there are many American Muslims who are very distressed by what they're seeing our government do. And I'm sure that's going to impact the political decisions they make in November 2024 and beyond. But right now, an election's not going to solve the problem. It's not going to stop the genocide. And so people have to raise their voices, contact the member of Congress, and call on President Biden to, again, stop this madness. We are watching a genocide unfold in real time and it's unacceptable. It has to stop. And President Biden and our nation are one of the few left pretending that it's not happening. It is happening, and it's got to stop.
Edward Ahmed Mitchell in Los Angeles, thank you very much for your time.